I think we're ready when you are, Neil.
Roger that. Rightio, good morning everybody. Welcome to this meeting of the Central Otago District Council Hearings Panel. We've got two matters for hearings today, but a couple of procedural things before we get to the first one. So the first one is to confirm our minutes of the meeting held on the 8th of February, was it?
Correct.
No, sorry, 15th of December and the 9th of November. Beg your pardon, my apologies. Someone like to move that we confirm those minutes, please?
I'll move. Second.
In favour, aye, carried. Thank you. Right, on that now, we'll move to the first of our hearings, and the first item on the agenda is 22.3.2, application of resources in RC 210352, Anthony Lynch and Brenda Jessup, 26 Pukerangi Drive, Queensbury. Just a bit of the formality we need to go through first. This is a properly convened meeting of the hearings panel called for the purpose of hearing submissions in relation to a resource application to establish a residential activity and construct and operate a cafe in the rural resource area. I'd ask the minute secretary to report on proceedings to date.
All statutory requirements under Section 95 of the Resource Management Act have been complied with. Report of the planning consultant has been circulated to address for service. The submissions received have been identified in the report.
Thank you very much. The following procedure will be followed for the hearing. The panel of officers may ask questions. Council's officers or its consultants shall put any questions through the chair, and the chair shall be deemed to be the person asking the questions. The applicant or the applicant's representative shall make submissions and present evidence. The submitters or their representatives shall then make submissions and present evidence. The planning consultant shall then make their submission, and the applicant shall have the right to reply, but should not be permitted to traverse the evidence nor raise new evidence. So before proceeding with the hearing, I'd ask that all parties appearing identify themselves. Now, I'll acknowledge the fact that this is under a bit of a unique situation, clearly, for some people in the Teams environment. It's far better to do it in person, but we're not able to do that at the moment. Who knows, in the near future, hopefully. So looking at my screen, I can see that I've got Brenda guest, but I'm pretty sure that'll be the applicant and Nicola, I think. So if you unmute, you can tell me that I've got that right or wrong.
Yes, you are correct. Good morning, I'm Nicola Scott. I'm a resource management consultant for the applicant. I'm Brenda Jessup, one of the applicants.
And I'm Anthony Lynch, known as Tony.
Right, cheers, Tony and Brenda and Nicola. Try and keep it pretty informal because it's formality I'm not good at. I try really hard and start out really well and then fail miserably usually. Welcome, and let's hope the technology works well. Now, I'm looking at my list of people that are on the call, and I don't believe there's anybody else other than staff or that are on the call. But if anybody else is on this call that is expecting to be speaking, can they let me know, please? Nope. So we also do on the line Morgan Ramsey, who is the author of the officer report. So Morgan will be there as well, and the rest of the team are council team that are watching and learning. We've got a few staff changes coming up, so we're just getting some new people upskilled to pick up the role. Right, that's done. I'll then just pick my list. Yes, I ask for a motion that the report of the planning consultant be taken as read. So I'll move that. Seconded by Stephen. All in favour? Carrie. Thank you. And I'll hand over to you, Nicola, to take us through your many submissions and evidence. Now we've got your written. Oops, wrong button there, wrong mouse, wrong screen. Your written evidence that we got in front of us. You can assume that we have read that, and we may or may not have some questions, but I'll ask you to take us through anything in particular you want to make sure that we're aware of, or any other comments or observations that you or the applicants would like to make.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Yes, I am just assuming that, or taking that both the evidence and application information as read, and therefore don't feel that I need to go through that in detail or provide another overview at this point. So what I wanted to do was just briefly comment on a couple of matters. So those related to the two items in my evidence that I mentioned submitted prior to the hearing today. I emailed these through last week, and I saw that council had uploaded them to the hearing file folder. So that what they were is a site plan, a revised site plan and floor plan. There were just a few small, very subtle changes, including a change to the orientation of the small utility structure, changes to site paving and driveway width. There's also a second kitchen flue extract, which is not shown, but the architect said that there was significant work involved in putting that through onto the plans, and that they will be doing that for the building consent drawings. So that will come. None of those changes alter the overall development in any material way. Secondly was the encumbrance instrument from the title, which concerns the Queensbury irrigation scheme supply. And there's a table at the end of that document which shows the water allocations per lot. The Tony and Brenda have also contacted their lawyer, and the transfer of their son Alfred's watershed is being sorted out at the moment. And so that concerns the available potable supply for the site. So just further on from that, all I was really wanting to say as a summary that I agree with the consultant planner that adverse effects on the environment of the activity will be acceptable and can be mitigated by recommended conditions of consent. The well-considered design and the landscaping ensure that the character and amenity of the rural environment is maintained and adverse effects are avoided or mitigated. The productive potential of the land is enhanced, and this aspect's been confirmed by an expert agribusiness consultant, and I believe that this provides assurance of protection and enhancement of the soil resource, and that's in relation to potential precedent concerns and the Otago Regional Council submission, which raised concerns in respect of production and soil resource. The proposed development will also provide for economic and social wellbeing of the applicants and of the wider community. In summary, it's my opinion that granting consent is appropriate. And yes, I think Tony or Brenda are just wanting to say a few words, and obviously we're all open to answering any of your questions.
Cool, thank you.
So I've just got a few points here. We've owned the block for 6 years, and in that time we've worked hard to establish pasture as well as planting over 400 trees and counting. We're going to put a whole lot more this autumn. We've followed organic principles, not using any synthetic fertiliser, herbicides or pesticides, and we're proud of what we've achieved. We genuinely love to see our trees thriving and growing, as well as the cattle and the sheep that have been on there. We've established and run 2 successful hospitality businesses in our career, the Ministry Food Cafe in Wellington, which we ran for over 30 years, and Missy's Kitchen in Wanaka, which we ran concurrently for 7 or 8 years. It's safe to say that the success of those 2 businesses was built on our commitment to offering genuine hospitality to our customers. We've always had a passion for the land and growing plants, and we moved here 21 years ago, drawn to the area for the dramatic landscape and the wine. And over that years, we've got to understand what can be grown here. We're true hospitality professionals with 30 plus years experience of running our own businesses. This business will be the culmination of what we have learned and a showcase of the amazing array and quality of what this region can produce. We look forward to locals visiting and connecting them to where food comes from. We feel that's something that's got lost in the modern world, and People are really interested in that now, and that's kind of we've always had that connection to our customers and the experience of food and wine. And so we want them to see our farm-to-table philosophy through the planting in the gardens and the local ingredients that they'll get to taste. That's off our menu.
Thank you.
That's we have for the moment. So if you have any questions for any of us.
Thank you, and appreciate that. I'm asking this. It's one of these questions where I'm going, am I missing something that's so obvious that it's not making any sense to me? So I just need to clarify this. In the application, the lot that we're talking about is shown to be what I reckon to be a different shape than actually the plans that are there.
Yes.
What am I missing?
The reason for that is the site plan is what's the right word? Truncated. The site plan just shows the southern part of the site, which is where the development is focused, and there is a fence line that bisects the northern part of the site, which is to be left in grazing. So that's not been indicated on the main site plan. I don't think I've got that open.
Cool. Because what caught my eye was the fact it said lot 2 to the south of the fenced area, and I'm going, has there been a subdivision I've missed here, or are the records not showing the up-to-date information? But you've just clarified that they are right, and it's just simply, as you say, it's been truncated off, and there's a fence line shown there. That is an internal boundary, not a lot boundary. So that's
Yeah, and you can see that's been planted as a shelter belt, and you can see that as you're driving past now.
Yes, and I was trying to think last time I drove past, but I wasn't looking very well.
Right, right, well, yeah.
Because I was looking at the road, like you're supposed to be doing, of course.
Yeah, well done.
Yeah. Listen, that's the only question that I've got. Stephen?
No, I was similar. I used Mr. Google and got Road View to figure that one out myself. So.
Yeah, well done.
I must have taught you how to do that, I then forgot that I knew could do it myself.
Well, I'm not going to answer that.
Martin.
I
couldn't possibly comment.
Sorry, but
no, I had a similar sort of query, but makes perfect sense. Thank you.
Stephen, you had something you were going to ask?
No, I was struggling a little bit with trying to understand the water rights, but I think that we've had some clarity in the last couple of days, even as late as yesterday, I think.
Oh, yes. There is it is a little bit confusing because Brenda and Tony's lot 2 has an allocation through the Queensbury irrigation scheme for 3,000 litres per day, and they are purchasing their son who lives next door, his shares, another 3,000 litres per day, and that will be the potable water supply. Their son has another water source on his property that he will continue to use that's completely separate. They also, Tony and Brenda also have a separate bore, which is just for irrigation supply. So they'll have 6,000 litres per day potable supply, and they'll have a separate irrigation supply, which I think is
900,000 litres per day.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, for irrigation for the 2 paddock. Yeah.
You're not draining the Clutha River, are you?
That's a lot of water.
Yeah. We don't use it all.
Excellent. All right, Martin, you're still all good?
I'm happy.
So just to clarify, there are no submitters that are on the line expecting to talk? No, for either in favour or against? No, that's good. Thank you. I'll now ask for our planner, Morgan, to present her report and make any comments or observations that she has, please.
Thanks.
Your camera on, Morgan. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, and thanks for all the previous comments made. I'd just like to state that I still stand with my report. I do, as I work through Nicola's evidence, I note a few recommendations from Nicola in regards to some proposed conditions of consent The first being in regards to lighting, and I'd like to say that I support the proposed condition to address the concerns raised in regards to lighting. I also note Nicola's recommendations of change to the consent notice condition that we'd recommended, and I'd support Nicola in that change. I do have a question. I'm not sure if I can ask a question at this point for the applicant.
Yeah, yeah, please do, because just pretend you're me when you're asking it.
I just wanted to clarify that we have condition 19, which establishes how the property is to be serviced in accordance with the crimes. The servicing infrastructure report that was provided, and that is in regards to the water supply and ensuring if that would be captured or if there'd need to be any revision in terms of how that water supply with the transfer of water rights would be managed, because I do think it's important that we note that sort of at present, I think I raised in my report, there was concerns with the amount of water supply, and if we needed to ensure that water supply transfer was complete prior to giving effect to this new consent.
I don't think we'd have any issue with having an alteration to that condition that ensured that documentation was completed prior to. Pulled up the wording of the condition. I've printed some things off. I've got it here if I need to go to it. But I know that in the Myer Cruden engineering report, they were well aware that some of the water was coming from Brenda and Tony's son's site next door. But yes, I think my memory of how that condition is worded probably is very generic, and if you wanted to add another condition or a bullet point under that one about the watershed being formalised, would you be okay with that?
Yeah.
Does that answer your question, Morgan?
Yes, thank you. So just to clarify, I just didn't want that not to be captured by that condition, or there be any issues in being able to comply with that condition as I'd previously recommended. So we might just need to have a look. I'd have to review that and understand if any changes would be needed for my recommendation. Moving on from that, I just would like to provide my summary that the conclusions I reached in my initial Section 42A report, I believe still be relevant, and I think I just recommend a few changes or updates to the existing conditions if the panel was of mind to grant the consent.
Thank you. Panel, any questions back for Morgan? No, I think I'm pretty happy about that, and we can work through that when we come to our deliberations in terms of on the basis that we take the recommendation that's been given. We'll look at those conditions as we do the deliberations to pick up then. Is that all good with you, Morgan? Sounds
good, thank you.
So back to Nicola and Tony, and he says I forgot. I'm going to say Brenda, but I want to make sure I got it right. Yes, I have. Yeah. Right, an opportunity for anything as a right of reply that you may want to add or not add or whatever.
Yeah, I'd like to just say one point really is the to emphasise what our whole sort of philosophy about this piece of land, what we want to do. When the ORC came through, sort of a lot of the objections seemed to me to be about degradation of soil and the environmental impact, and I guess I just want to point out that we are the opposite to that. We're improving the soil and have done so much. Yeah.
Since we owned it, yeah. It was brown earth when we
and we will continue to. I guess is my point. Yeah, that's our goal is to keep it.
I would be so bold as to make the observation is that sometimes organisations such as regional councils don't actually live and see it on a day-to-day basis or every time they drive past to actually know and appreciate the changes that have taken place. And certainly I can tell you that from the panel's perspective, and the three of us are regularly in that sort of area, and I know quite intimately about that particular piece of land and around it, and it's greener than I've ever seen it. And
Yeah, we don't know. We're surprised. But also another point I think we haven't talked about is there is actually quite a lot of people living out in that area now. You'll see the school bus coming, and especially when we had our business in Wellington, we pretty much employed all of our own kids, most of our nieces and nephews and their friends. We will offer that initial school leaving work to the local kids, and it will bring a sort of a local, we see it as a local hub, and part of that is sort of for young people providing employment and training and experiences, and that's just in our nature. We just do that.
Yeah, cool. Thank you for that. Appreciate that very much. Nothing else to add?
No, I don't.
No.
I don't have anything else to add. So I think
You might have heard a barking dog in the background of me, and I'm not sure what she was telling us, but anyway, she's gone outside, and I didn't have to swear at her. I'll just check with the staff side of things that are on the call. Is there anything that I've missed, need to add to? They're not queuing up to tell me I'm wrong. That's good, so we'll leave it at that. So on that basis, I can advise that the decision of the hearing panel is reserved. The formal decision will be in writing and available within the statutory period of 15 working days. In the event that the release of the decision is delayed, the applicant will be advised of the delay. The hearing is now adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Hope that wasn't too painful.
No, easier than I thought. Thank